French pharmaceutical giant Sanofi breaks ground on its vaccine production facility in TUAS. Also in TUAS, a new technology will enable faster cargo clearance at the port to handle more shipments. And supporting each other through difficult times, MP Bayam King and his wife tell us about their health struggles. Good evening, you're watching The Big Story with me, Hairianto Diman. Subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you will not miss a single episode. The first of its kind and state-of-the-art French pharmaceutical giant Sanofi breaking ground today on its $638 million vaccine facility in TUAS. And when completed around 2025, it will churn out vaccines to be used in Asia. Sanofi says its evolutive vaccine facility is unique because it can produce up to 4 different types of vaccines at one go, unlike current facilities around the world that make just one type at a time. It will not just make vaccines but also tap new technologies and would allow Sanofi to quickly switch to a new vaccine in the event of a pandemic, as opposed to having to build a new facility. In the courts today, a 20-year-old man became the first person to plead guilty to laundering money from the OCBC phishing scams. Leong Chun Sien was among 7 youths charged in February for their suspected involvement in the scams, which led to 790 OCBC customers losing about $13 million. The cases involving the others are still pending. Flights powered by sustainable aviation fuels could ply routes between Singapore and New Zealand under a new Green Lane scheme. In a memorandum of arrangement witnessed by Transport Minister S. Iswaran and visiting New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, both countries will look into the scale, costs and technical viabilities of developing such green lanes in order to encourage the gradual uptake of such flights by travellers. Singapore and New Zealand inking 2 more agreements today. The first is to encourage business leaders to share expertise and knowledge and deepen business alliances in areas of common interest like trade, connectivity and emerging technology. And the second, to develop sustainable food innovations. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong marks his 10th year on social media today. In a recreation of his very first post, he says he didn't quite know what to expect when he launched his social media accounts, but describes the experience as fun, surprising, instructive, and at times bewildering.
Hello everybody. It's been 10 years since I started on my social media journey. It's been a lot of fun and I hope you've enjoyed it too.
You can now directly engage the Prime Minister after Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong started his own Facebook page. It was launched this afternoon together with his Twitter account.
There are times when you have to be light-hearted. There are times when you see a beautiful sunset, you share it with people and you hope that they'll enjoy it with you. You catch an owl somewhere in the Istana. Well, maybe somebody is interested to see the owl. It's something unusual and personal.
Please keep on traveling with me as we explore the social media together.
Health issues can have a huge impact on relationships. And for one couple, the past few years have been challenging to say the least. Tampines GRC MP Bayam King and his wife Lim Hai-yen both faced unexpected medical emergencies. In 2020, Ms. Lim was diagnosed with aphasia, a condition that affects a person's ability to communicate. And last year, Mr. Bay discovered he had nose cancer. Now, I sat down with a couple who are celebrating their 25th anniversary this year to find out how they've coped with their illnesses. Mr. Bay, Ms. Lim, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. Ms. Lim, let's start with you. Aphasia was in the spotlight recently when the family of Bruce Willis announced he was diagnosed with the disorder. Tell us about your experience. How has aphasia affected you, your work, and your family, and are you recovering well?
Initially, I was really shocked because it happened very fast. And after that, I was surprised. And then I couldn't speak, yeah? So I used to be a reporter. So I used to ask people questions. And at that time, I asked myself many questions, including whether would I recover, what is going to be for me in the future, can I still continue to read and write, So I was in a kind of a dark phase for a while. And then I was, I think the most scariest part, the most fearful part is that I cannot be back to where I used to be.
Mr. Bay, for yourself, when you found out about your wife's diagnosis and of course being, her supporter, her number one supporter, what was it like assuming that role and that responsibility as a caregiver to your wife, on top of, we know, your busy schedule as a MP?
When I suspected she had a stroke, okay, because I noticed some symptoms, because she couldn't understand what I was telling her. Also, when in conversation, she keep asking the same questions. So I knew that it was something not right, and somehow I suspected that she had a stroke. Because I know that stroke depends on which part of the brain is affected. It can affect different body functions. And most of us associate stroke with physical sort of damage. You can't walk, half the body is paralyzed. So I would say that initially I underestimated the impact on Haiyan, because I assumed that a physical impairment will be more devastating, more difficult to recover. So I even joked with her then, actually it's considered quite mild or a blessing in disguise, because you are still okay, you're able to walk, to function as a person. Most people will not tell that you are suffering from any condition. Okay, but I think what I didn't realize is, as a patient, she had to suffer and go through it by herself, because if she doesn't speak or can't find a word for certain things, people may not know, even a close family. So I think that was, a part that she was really alone. She felt helpless, and perhaps many of us wouldn't know how to help, how to express our concern as well.
So where are you right now in terms of your progress of aphasia? Because it is a long-term illness that you have to cope with. Where are you at with managing it now?
I'm told that it would take like 1 to 2 years to fully recover. And after 2 years, you are where you are. You won't recover more, yeah. So I feel, I don't know, because people have asked me this question, so I have to give a number. So I would say maybe like 90%. My son said I have 100%, I've recovered 100%, but I think he's being very kind to me. So, and at the end of the day, I actually don't care. So what I'm saying is that I can even recover more than 100%. Why? It's because I would get more skills. The other skills, like I can be more grateful, be more empathy. There would be more empathy towards other people, and I would also help more people in this road of recovery.
Mr. Bay, you were diagnosed with, and you found out that you had stage 1 nose cancer, and that was in December last year. Tell us about that experience.
So it was very sudden. I had no symptoms, so there's no issue that I was trying to investigate to find a cause or anything. So it was very accidental discovery. I also felt that I've been very, very fortunate in my last 51 years. I have no major illness or condition, any health problem. So it's okay. I mean, if life decides to give me this test now, I will face it. So when the results came back that it's positive, I was I think still quite cool about it. Yeah, but then the next phase of the test to determine which stage of cancer it was, then that part, it became a bit more worrying for me.
And why is that?
Because the oncologist took efforts to explain to me, okay, so they have different stages of nose cancer, and at which stage is what kind of treatment, things like that. So I began to worry about what if it's a late stage. Of course, the chances of recovery, survival will be lower. The treatment will be more complicated. So I hope not to have to go through that. Yeah, so I was hoping that it's just stage 1.
And Ms. Lim, your reaction to that, when Mr. Bay revealed to you the diagnosis?
To be honest, I was more upset about his illness than mine, because he still now is the source of a pillar, the support for the whole family. And then what if something happens to him? Because he used to be able to take care of us, of the family, his residents, So I was, and I also don't know how to react to him, because he told me, I'm okay, don't fret around me. Yeah. So I'm, in a certain sense, I think I pretend to be okay, so that he would not worry too much.
So where are you now? So how was the recovery like and the treatment like, Mr. Bay? Because I know that it was quite traumatizing for you. You had to remove some teeth. Tell us about that.
Actually, it's to prepare for the long-term effects of radiation. Okay, so the radiation is supposed to cure the cancer, remove the cancer cells, but the procedure itself will cause some side effects, and some would be long-lasting. It may surface years later. And one worry was the impact on the jaws, the teeth, because the bone structure will be affected. So as part of the preparation, I have to see the dentist to check for any teeth that might become a problem in future. And I had all 4 wisdom teeth still around. So although they're growing fine, but because it's at the age, the dentist said, well, if any teeth were to decay, these are the 4 potential ones. So shall we just remove them, just to play safe, right? In case it happens. And why the 5th one was because I was supposed to do a tooth implant. It was a tooth that was had a root canal done some years ago, and then it didn't last long, so I removed it. And so the dentist recommended an implant. Otherwise, it will affect the surrounding teeth. Because of this treatment, I can't do an implant anymore. Okay, so there was a lower cavity. So the upper tooth, because of gravity and without a bottom tooth to support it, it might sink and cause a problem. So I had to remove that tooth. That's how it become 5 teeth. Yeah. So I would say that the most painful part was that afternoon where I had to have all my 5 teeth extracted.
And never in your life you had to have 5 teeth removed.
In my life, I only had 1 tooth extracted before that.
Oh, just 1?
Yeah, I'm quite lucky. My teeth have been very good to me. So yeah, so now...
that must have been quite a challenge and traumatizing, all 5. I'd like to get a final thought from each of you. What is the one thing about your spouse that surprised you when they were ill? Maybe Ms. Lim, you can share with me, because earlier on you said, Mr. B is a brave man. Anything else, that surprised you?
So the one thing that actually surprised me was last year, because this year we are celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. So for last year, we went on a staycation because we can't go anywhere,
borders
right?
are closed, yeah.
And then what surprised me is he sent me 24 pictures, 24 photos at 1 hour interval for 24 hours. Yeah. So with every photo, he wrote something, Yeah. So I was so surprised. Yeah. So it's like to be together 24 hours every day. Yeah.
Is that the most romantic thing he's done for you? Is that why?
Only romantic thing.
That would end.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about you, Mr. B? What was the one thing that surprised you about Ms. Lim, throughout the whole journey of managing aphasia?
I think she's very brave and very independent. And she also doesn't want us to worry about her, because she is finding her own ways to recover or to cope with her condition. So she likes games and things like that. So she devised, come up with ideas to help herself, but at the same time involve the family and fun. Something that people will enjoy.
And sometimes I have to console the other people, I'm not so bad, I'm okay. I'm still the same person. Yeah.
So I think that helped herself, but also helped us manage the whole situation together. And I also appreciate her that when I had my condition, I know what she must be worried, but I think if she come across as very worried and very anxious about everything that's happening to me or whatever, then I will feel even more stressed. So at least I didn't feel that, because I feel that I'll just leave it in the good hands of the doctors and just get on with it. So I think the way she has handled it has also helped me tremendously to go through this journey.
Mr. B, Ms. Lim, thank you so much for, again, taking time off to do this sharing with us and, of course, to have a chat with us. You can read more about Mr. B and Ms. Lim's conditions and how they supported each other through their illnesses. The articles are there at str.sg/livingwell. The Immigrations and Checkpoints Authority is introducing new automated and paperless systems under what's called the new clearance concept for cargo, with the aim of achieving a seamless and efficient cargo clearance process, which will in turn help strengthen Singapore's position as a global trade hub. There are two initiatives already operating at TUAS Port. First, the on-the-fly clearance process. Now, it cuts the time drivers spend at the radiographic scanning portal to between 3 and 5 minutes, from between 14 and 20 minutes. And second, the mobile cargo screening system, in which ICA officers conducting secondary checks on the cargo use mobile tablets to validate cargo clearance permits. Now here is journalist Jessie Lim with more.
At TUAS Port, currently some products that are being processed there include your skincare products, makeup, and printing devices. So these are consumer goods that we use in everyday life. With ICA's new initiatives, as part of their new clearance concept, we have the on-the-fly clearance process and the mobile cargo screening systems. Both these processes will reduce the time it takes for drivers waiting at the port. So this means that they can make more trips and deliver more of these parcels to the consumers. And this is especially important in the light of the COVID-19 pandemic, where there have been supply chain issues at other ports, slowing down the delivery process. So with these new initiatives, our consumers will be happy to know that they will receive their parcels much quicker than before.
In Malaysia, a search is underway for 131 Rohingya detainees who were part of a group of 528 who broke out of an immigration detention center in Penang. The cause of the incident is still under investigation, but a report in The Star said that the incident was triggered by protests, which quickly turned into a riot. At least 6 fugitives died while escaping, including 2 children. From this Friday, Australia's New South Wales and Victoria states will scrap isolation periods for close contacts of COVID-19 cases. Instead, in New South Wales, close contacts will have to do daily ARTs before meeting people outside their household and wear a mask in indoor settings. And in Victoria, they will need to wear a mask indoors, avoid certain sensitive settings, and test ART negative at least 5 times over 7 days after exposure. Netflix has lost subscribers for the first time in 10 years, shedding 200,000 in the first quarter of this year. And it will get worse. The streaming giant expects to lose 2 million more in the next 3 months. Netflix blames this on households sharing passwords as well as more streaming competition. Visit straitstimes.com for more news and our YouTube channel for more videos. Subscribe by hitting the red button below. I'm Haryanto Diman. See you tomorrow for more stories on The Big Story.